touchdown, you sucker!
Welcome inside the Hall of Fame. I'm Booker T, six-time world champion, two-time Hall of Fame. I got my man Brad Gilmore here with me. They call him the boat. And I tell you guys, we are coming off of a fantastic voyage of a weekend. Speaking of the boat, gonna put that together.
I like that. I see what you did there. Yeah. Wordplay.
Yeah. But coming off a huge weekend. But how you feel, man? I tell you, man. Sunday, I was spent, man. I'm actually today. I'm still just trying to recoup. I think my mind is just just getting over the weekend as well as all the press coverage Sharmell and I was doing for the week leading up to swing vote, guys. It was an awesome event, and we're gonna be posting it next week. So hopefully you guys tune in, check it out, download the YouTube channel if you don't have it, and check it out. It's really, really good.
Yeah, definitely subscribe. I think we're closing in on 400,000. We're closing in on 400,000. So definitely make sure you go over there and do that. But I'm with you. I was having a hard time keeping up with all the media you were doing. Like it was hard for me to realize, wait a minute, okay, let me go hear him. What do you say on this show? What do you say on that show? And I didn't know that there was, I don't know, man, maybe a half a dozen or more news outlets there on site for that show, including local news outlets like KHOU and several other ones here in Houston. So the press coverage was everywhere. I'm sure that you were glad. You know, this is what's weird about throwing events is that you're so excited leading up to it, but then the best part is when it's over. It's like, whew, okay, it's over.
I mean, especially at an event. I mean, let's be honest, especially at an event like this, when you talking about voting, you never know who's going to show up. What's going to be the outcome? Is anybody going to get rowdy or anything like that? But we actually pulled it off. Everybody had fun. It seemed like everyone was on the same page. I want to thank everyone for that right there. Everybody that came out and just was a part of the event, man. We had awesome time. We'll be back November 14th, I think, something like that.
I believe so.
And we're going to be back out there doing it again. It won't be free. It won't be free this time. But we're looking forward to getting back out there. Want to thank all the organizers for actually putting that thing together. Want to thank my wife for actually, literally being on the ground, running, making sure everything was done properly. And that right there, man, it takes two. It takes a hell of a team to be able to pull this thing called life off. I think the proper way. I don't think life was meant for man to go through this life just as man. It has to be as man as woman, and you got to have a strong woman on your side to be able to, make sure the work is properly getting done. And I tell you, she worked her butt off day in and day out leading. They say we got over 100 million impressions.
Wow.
For all the media that we did. So we touched a whole lot of people. A lot of people got a chance to actually feel it just a little bit. They might have clicked on it and actually just saw a little bit of something about it. But I tell you, man, it was an awesome event. I want to thank everyone for coming out and being so respectful for that night and being so cordial. Be woke, vote, guys. Go out and make your voice heard, man. Make sure you make your voice heard.
I'm going to vote tomorrow. Tomorrow's the first day of early vote in the state of Texas. I'm not leaving anything up to chance because I know sometimes even in our area's book, those polling locations can get super long on election day. Those lines can be long. A lot of people don't get off work.
If you catch a couple of the schools around here, man, at the right time, you can walk right in and walk right out. You just gotta know what the polling places are. And Sharmell, there again, she know where all the sites are, where all the places where you can dip in, bam, dip out with no problems. You ain't got no poll watchers there making sure you you walk straight or anything. No, but it's definitely early voting. Very, very important.
I still don't even know what a poll watcher is. I'm gonna be honest. I helped a couple people register to vote a couple weeks ago, and they were like, "What's a poll watcher?" I was like, "Hell if I know."
You go look to your left.
But I will say, man, it was so cool because I really didn't know what to expect. We never had done anything like that before, and I was kind of like you, like, what kind of crowd is it going to be? Is there going to be a crowd? Do people care about coming to a wrestling / voter education event? And I got to say, man, people loved it. I actually went out there and stood at a couple of the booths. So like right when you walked in, or right when you drove in, there was a reality wrestling booth, a BWOK vote booth, and a little taco booth. I just went over and I stood by them and helped out for a little bit because I just wanted to talk to the people, and people were excited about it. They were really excited for the show, for the free tacos, and also the free information.
That's what I was just going to say. That's why you was over there for free tacos.
Oh, I was like, hey, Book, you want me to go get you something?
I don't know what kind of sauce that was, but I should have went talk to him and say, hey man, what is that, man?
It's good.
I really need to steal that recipe right there because it was definitely good.
Yeah, the tacos were off the chain. The tacos were off the chain, but so was the action. And I want to shout out to all the men and women of reality wrestling because it was a humid Texas night. And the ropes were slippery. The mat was slippery. The mat's house, everything was slippery and wet and condensated. But they went out there and they put on a hell of a show for a hell of a lot of people. Once you got in that ring, Book, I know you could see it really good. And when I stood on the apron, I mean, there were cars all the way back, and we were about 2 matches into a card of 7, and there were still people trying to get in.
Hey man, it was definitely heartfelt. For everyone, like I said, everybody that came out, there was so many people out there, and everybody seemed to have had so much fun. And then again, the guys, man, the locker room, those guys, man, they went out there and they rocked it from top to bottom, from the main event all the way to the mid card to the guys that opened the show up. It was a awesome card. Guys, get your dose of reality of wrestling. If like I said, if you haven't signed up on YouTube to be a part of reality wrestling, part of the row, you're missing out on the up and coming stars of the future. And we got so many of them, Will Alday, Gino, Ryan Davidson, Mysterious Q, Cam Cole,
Ed Stone.
I mean, we got so many of them that's literally looking to make it to that next level. And then again, you'll see reality of wrestling, some of the matches, and the kids will be really, really green because this is truly the reality of wrestling for my young guys. And sometimes they're not as experienced as the next guys, but that's what this thing is about. It's about learning. Sometimes it's about on-the-job training. It's about, hey, right, if he's good enough to work under net, hey, let's get him out there, or let's get her out there. Let's let her get some real time experience. That's what reality of wrestling is all about, and I'm proud of that. I'm so proud of that. When you watch reality of wrestling, it's different than any other wrestling you're going to see out there because it's real as we make it for our young guys trying to make it to the next level. That's what reality of wrestling is truly all about. It's different. It's different than anything you're ever going to see.
Yeah, I mean, there are people on the roster who have been wrestling for 15 months, and there's some who've been wrestling for 15 years. And I think it's that breadth of experience between everybody who, I think, and that's a really cool thing is I see the young guys let me say this way. I see some of the veterans taking some of the stuff from the young guys. You know what I mean? They're like, oh, I'm taking that. That's a good one right there. Hey, that's good. I like that.
Yeah. And the thing is, when you're a veteran, can't nobody do nothing about it. You just go tell them, hey, man, I'm taking that.
Yeah, cut that out your arsenal. That's mine now.
I like that. You know what I mean? So cut it out.
Did you ever do that?
Nah, man.
No. You don't seem like the type.
I always had my own moves, man. I always would steal people's stuff and add a little bit of something to it. So if they came and talked to me about it, I didn't know that. It was one of those type of deals.
I've been doing this since Global.
I would just admit it and say, man, it looked good, man. I had to steal it and I had to put a little twist on it. It's one of those deals. I always, I've never been shy about going out and stealing moves or anything like that. But guys that went out there on Saturday night, like you say, it was a humid night. It was a little dewy and whatnot. It was a little slippery out there, but everyone went out and performed to the next level. Give shout out to Jerome Karam, the owner of the Mall of the Mainland there. He gave us a shout out this morning just to thank us for what the attention that we brought to the mall. But I tell you, man, that's what we do is just try to create, and motivate at the same time. You never know what you're going to get at the end of the day. But I tell you, at the end of the night, we had an awesome night. Yeah, and the thing is, the press is still going out on that thing. I mean, people are still talking about what we did as a small independent company down here in Texas, reality wrestling. We ain't that big, you know what I mean? We ain't got a whole lot of monies or anything like that, but we work real hard for our artists. But my thing is, guys, on the real, we got to take a break. On the real, if you guys want to support reality of wrestling in any way, get with realityofwrestling.com. We're looking for sponsors. We're looking for guys to get on board and fuel this thing to the next level. Be Woke Vote was the first stop. It opened up a lot of eyes to people out there seeing what reality of wrestling really can bring to the table from a organizational, independent, homegrown something right here in the city, just like Paul Bosch back in the day. We got to take a break. We'll be back in a minute. Welcome back inside the Hall of Fame. Man, so much went down this weekend, man. So, yeah. Hey, there it is. Big shout out to Air C, man. Air C. So, we need Row in Stockton, California. You know what, man? I love to bring some Row to Stockton, California. And guys, don't be afraid to super chat. Get your question answered, whatever it is. If you just got a comment you want to actually put out there and see it actually. Got super chat, help us out. Like I said, we're trying to fuel this thing to the next level and take it somewhere that I think could really, really be special. I think what Brad Gilmore and I bring to the table is different than what everybody else brings to the table, because we ain't trying to pick sides or anything like that. We're trying to let you figure out which way you want to go. But the thing is, you got to jump in the back seat. You can't drive the car. We drive it. I'm driving right now. Sometimes Brad's drive. Sometimes but just like I was talking about this week. Going back to that post, man, that post you put out about me. That's some of the craziest stuff I see, man. That's just stupid, man. Just stupid. But man.
Are you referring to your commentary call?
Yeah, man, that was a good commentary, man.
Wait, can I show the clip?
Yeah, let me see.
Okay. Look, let me set it up, though.
Oh,
so Booker T and I were doing commentary for this show. So wait, hold on. You're going to have to let me tell the story. So so Booker tells me also before, he's like, hey, I'm gonna try out some new stuff tonight on commentary. I was like, okay, cool. And we're sitting in his RV and we're calling the matches from the RV, which is a really cool experience because they're all out in the elements and humid. We're in the nice cold AC, and we're calling it. And I had this idea. I was like, it'd be really cool if I film certain parts of his commentary and we'll interject him in the show, right? So the first one I did was what I call the call of the century. I don't think that there's ever been any call like this in the history of professional wrestling. And Booker was, we were talking about, Cam Cole was one of the wrestlers in the ring. And I think you were talking about Cam Cole's level of disrespect to his opponent. And this was Booker's analogy and call for that moment in the ring. So I hope I can play it to where we can hear it. Hold on, let me see. Can we hear this?
Can't hear it yet. I can't hear it, man.
Oh, you can't hear it? Oh, no. I'm sorry. Hold on.
Oh, my God.
You see the animation. Give me a second while I figure out how to get it. But hold on.
Oh, my God.
What were you thinking, though, on commentary? Because you were trying out a lot of new stuff this weekend.
You know what, man? There again, like Black Snow. Black Snow was just something that I saw a poet actually here in Houston. And I was like, man, he's really good. I think I could do that on commentaries. And actually, that's all it was. It was just a poet, Black Snow here. And big ups to Black Snow, wherever you are. And last week, I just said, man, I want to do something different. I don't want to just use my regular voice on commentary, just because I feel like I could bring a little bit more to the table in a different voice. And normally when I think when I talk in a different voice, I think a different way. I formulate things totally different. It's just like, just say for instance, honestly, it's crazy reading. When I read from a perspective to where it's almost theatrical, it's very, very easy for me. But if I don't read it like that, I'm kind of dyslexic. I might see it backwards, so I gotta pronunciate everything a certain way in order to make sure I get it out properly. Even during radio, it took me a long time to actually be able to feel my way through the thing and actually be able to accent certain things when I need to. So that's all it was. And I employ people when they find themselves, in a position and something seemed difficult, go outside your comfort zone and totally try to be someone that you're totally not, and see how it worked for you. And that's what I did on Saturday night. And it was fun. It was fun, actually.
Oh, we were laughing the majority of the evening, I believe. Let me see if I can finally pull this one up.
It was actually a great time, being able to, like I say, entertain the fans that have known me for so many years. And then they see Booker T and hear Booker T totally in a different voice and a totally different character. And to be able to switch gears, I tell young people all the time, you got to know how to change your levels in life. You got to know how to change your levels. I say you can't, act the same way around your boys as the same way you go in for a job interview. You got to know how to be able to change your levels. Same things you say around your boys, you're not going to say in that. You got it up.
I got it. Okay, here we go. Here we go. So, okay, just give me a thumbs up, Book, if you can hear it when I play it. All right. Here's Booker T with what I call the call of the century.
I'm going to go out and I'm going to use every trick in the book to get a victory over a guy like Mantell, because you got to understand, I'm born and bred right here at Reality Wrestling. This is my house. I'm inviting you into my house. I'm letting you sit down at my table and eat my food. I'm letting you sleep in the guest room in my house. And you want to come in and sleep with my wife? No, you're not going to do that. That's what Cam Cole is thinking about right now. I don't know what I was thinking right
Where did that come from?
I don't know. It just came out. I had nothing else to say. So but that's what that character would have said.
Right.
But literally I wouldn't have, thought of, those words just speaking in my Booker T voice. I just would not have thought that way. But in the character, I'm able to think outside the box and find things that I wouldn't normally, conjure up on my own. But it was funny. It was actually a great point as well.
It was a good point. Yeah,
it was a great point. You don't let someone come out from outside, outside the territory and come into your territory and take over and start, getting all the ladies and, they getting the big checks. You got to put a stop to that kind of stuff early. And that's pretty much what I was saying right there. But the formulated like that was, all just, whoever that character was that night.
It was great. And, it was the only clip I got too. And so I liked it. That was the one clip that I got, which was I think the call of the century. And it's gone semi-viral on the internet today. So I appreciate everybody who's gone and checked it out and shared it.
Maybe, WWE, please don't call me back. Do not call me back to sit at the table. I can't do that with those guys. I can't do it. It's so hard. You know what? And that's the person I wanted to be. Sitting at the table with WWE. I just couldn't do it though. I just, I had so many protocols and so many routes they wanted you to go. And I understand that. It's just like when you first start doing commentary, and I say, Brad, look, don't do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do it this way. I mean, it's our thing.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean, so that's just the way that is, man. But definitely, I had a whole lot of fun doing it. Definitely took me back.
It was fun, man. Book, and I know sometimes on social media, especially when you're a commentator of any kind, the fans like to rag on you. But I will say, you coming out there, you killed it on commentary. Book, what you're like? You're like the old Timex watch. you you take a licking and you keep on ticking.
Hey man, come on, man. That was a good line too, man. But the thing is, it was a good line, but the way I set it up, I
It was
set it up
good.
real nice, before I
Yeah.
said it. You know what I mean? So because the thing is, I know how old I am. All right, I know how old I'm. 55. I'm 55, but I'm a vibrant 55. I'm a young
For
55.
sure.
I try to stay intact to what's going on today with young people. That's why we had the swing book. Was to be able to connect with the young people and fellowship. They talk about policing today compared to the way it was back in the day, where the police officer was in the neighborhood getting to know the community and whatnot.
Hmm.
And it was a lot. I believe in that, but these days it's a whole lot different. You know what I mean? That is something you really have to do for us to connect with our young people. But you got to be able to do it a different way. It's just like policing. You're not going to find the cops walking the beat these days in certain
Right.
neighborhoods because certain things would happen to them. So, but still, they have to figure out how to connect with the people in the community, and that's what we do, man, and that's what we do very, very well. And I just want to make that point right there. Because I correlated with policing and us, working with young people. But let's just stress something with policing before we go into this break. Like I say, with policing and we hear them talking about, they need to connect and get back in the neighborhood and be able to walk the beat. That is the hardest job in America, to be a police officer, to be a cop. Putting on that uniform, walking out the house, and that's why I support the police officers. I really do. I do feel like something needs to be done about those bad apples, because what they say about bad apples, one bad apple spoiled a whole damn bunch. And that's the one thing I don't hear people ever talking about, is the bad apples that spoil the whole bunch. They make everyone look bad, especially when that bad apple is protected a lot of times. So police officers, let's just get it straight. They got a hard job, and they need to figure out how to network and connect with the community here in 2020, and that's a conversation that definitely needs to be had. Guys, you're in the Hall of Fame. We'll be back in a minute. Welcome back inside the Hall of Fame. Man, excuse me. We're talking about this weekend, man. As far as a lot of sports went down this week, but let's get to the more serious part of the weekend. Dak Prescott went down, and
Yeah.
he went down hard. Severe ankle injury. Already had surgery. Literally, just looking at it, that was one of those injuries. And I don't want to look here. I'm not sitting here saying his career is over with or anything like that, but that was a really, really bad break. And to see it up close, and I was watching on YouTube this doctor describe it actually when it was happening in slow motion. I tell you, he's got a lot of work to do as far as coming back and getting back on track. Dallas, of course, that they going to have an uphill battle going forward. What do you think that's going to do for Dak Prescott's career going forward?
Yeah, I was watching as it happened, and it was exactly what you said. It was just devastating to see. At first, when they zoomed in on it, it looked like his shoe was just off, right, a little bit. And then when I got it, well, that's at least what I thought when I first saw it. And then when I got a closer look, you could see it was his ankle. And the first thing I think that any sports fan, especially football fan with any knowledge of the history of the game, the first thing you think about is Joe Theismann, of course, and that terrible break that he had against the Giants. But hopefully it wasn't as terrible as that. I think that Dak, though, knew as soon as it happened, there was going to be an issue because you saw the tears in the man's eyes as they carted him off the field. I don't think you're crying if you know you're going to come back next Sunday.
Yeah.
You're crying because you know this might be it for the year. And they're only 4 games in. They weren't off to the best start, but this is also what Dak is thinking. You remember in the summertime, there was all those talks with him and Jerry Jones about contracts and contract renewal. They franchise tag him, and he's trying to negotiate a new deal. Really hard to negotiate for yourself when you're out there on the sidelines and not able to perform. You know what I mean? From a negotiation standpoint, I think it puts him in a bad place. But I think number one is he needs to get back to 100% healthy. I just wonder if you can do that. That was a compound fracture on his ankle. It's going to be months and months and months, I think, till he can even get back on the gridiron. And when I say months, I mean healing and rehab. So I don't know. We definitely don't see him back this season. I honestly think that next season, maybe we take it slow. I'm not sure. What do you think?
I kind of agree with Titan Hugo, who's in the chat there, who said it reminded me of the cycle accident. I was there, actually. I was getting ready to work. I was coming up. Next match after that actually happened, and actually saw when Sid went down, and it was the scariest thing I ever saw, in my life to that point inside the wrestling ring. And the thing with Dak, man, watching it in slow motion, I literally could not watch all of it. That's how nasty it was. I've seen so many injuries like that throughout my career with so many different guys. And it's just scary, you know what I mean? Because the reason why it's so scary is because it could happen to you. Mm-hmm. And that's the one thing. I remember a kid, by the name of Calvin Knapp. I was just looking up the Global Wrestling Federation roster just for, I don't know why, but Calvin Knapp was a kid who was coming up with, in the same, time I was coming up, around the same age, good looking kid, body, great body. And he went out and blew his knee out, and his kneecap ended up in his thigh. It scared the crap out of me when I saw it in person. I was like, wow, God, man, how do I, make sure that never happened to me? But the thing is, you can't make sure. You just have to, go out and, put it out of your mind and perform. And I'm sure all those guys on the field, watched their captain go down, Dak Prescott. They saw their captain go down, and it's a scary thing. It's scary, and it's hard to get on track after that happens as well. And every time I've been a part of something like that, where a guy go out and boom, something happened, he get injured, and we know how bad the injury is, and he has to leave and go to the hospital that night. It's not the same. Somebody can go out and get hurt, get their bell rung. That's totally different. Show must go on. But we think about that as human beings, I think, because we know it can happen to us.
Yeah, and you coming from the athletic background that you come from, I'm sure there's been several moments, not only just the Sid one, but some that may have been scary for you even. I remember, I think, was the most devastating injury you ever had the knee? Was the knee the most devastating one?
No, the scariest one was with the kid from ECW,
Mike Awesome.
Mike Awesome.
Where he did the Awesome Bomb over.
Awesome Bomb, and you guys can go back and check that out on YouTube. Awesome Bomb from Mike Awesome, and it was the scariest thing I ever been a part of. Being on his back, and I'm thinking we're gonna go midway, and boom, he's gonna drop me, but he literally went past midway, and I saw myself in the trun, and I'm looking at myself, and I'm wondering at the same time, what the hell is he thinking? I don't know what happened, but I don't know if he just blanked out. I don't know if he didn't know what the hell he was doing. It's probably the latter of the two. And he dropped me so far on the opposite side of the ring. I slid all the way up under the turnbuckle. That's how close my head came to that bottom turnbuckle. Could have broke my neck, and I was out for about a month and a half after that. And it was the scariest bump I think. And the thing is, if I wouldn't have, saw myself in the trun, I really would have got hurt because I tucked my head really tight, because I just knew I was out of position. Just from a field perspective. And if I wouldn't have did that, I would have. I remember landing like Evel Knievel, man, in the Houston Astrodome when he took the bump, and his body just went all over the place. That's the way I felt when I took that bump that night, because my body, I had no control over the bump, and that's something a wrestler never want to be in a position to where he doesn't have control over his body, especially when he's taking a bump. Going outside, inside, whatever, you want to be able to control it. And I had no control over it. And it was a nasty, nasty bump. Almost like when Mick Foley fell through the cage and took the bump, Hell in the Cell with Undertaker. And when he took the bump, it was nothing his body could do. I mean, he couldn't prepare for that bump just the way he went through the cage. It was nasty. And that's the way I felt, and not as bad, of course, as the Mick Foley thing. I don't want to compare it. The bump I took to that, but it was definitely it put me on the shelf for a couple of months.
It's when you're around for a while, like around wrestling, and you watch certain guys, and you just see how certain guys fall or land. Sometimes it makes you do like, oh my God, like that wasn't right. I just watched the video of the Mike Awesome thing, and it is pretty frightening, and it's quick. Like you didn't have a lot of time to adjust at all.
No,
like that fast.
Yeah.
He has you in kind of for people, it's not just a regular power bomb position. He has you in like a crucifix position, similar to the Razor's Edge, and then throws you like with his weight going forward. It's pretty frightening perspective.
It was pretty nasty. It was a pretty nasty bump. And like I said, put me on the shelf for, like I said, a month and a half, 2 months or something like that. I got back on track, but it was definitely one you don't want to take. And that's what I talk about, with my students all the time as far as safety. That's not something you could practice either, you know what I mean? So it's going to be up to the person that's doing it to you to make sure you're able to walk away that night or not. And the people talk about, the wrestling business is fake and whatnot. When something like that happens, as real as it possibly could be.
Right.
And it's up to us to make it look real. Still the same. But I just think he was, God rest his soul, not the greatest worker in the world.
Yeah, and it can put yourself in danger that way. And then with Dak, him going down the way that he did, that's a pretty significant break. And
it could be career. Thing is, it could be.
I don't want to put that out there, but I think it could.
Yeah, man, it's my job. It's my job to put it out there. I'm not wishing no bad luck on Dak or anything like that. But one thing about the wheels, on a car, I don't care what race you're in. If you ain't got your wheels, you're gonna lose. Okay, you're not gonna be able to perform. And with a break like that, I don't care how much rehab he goes through. I don't care how much time he spends in the ice, bath and whatnot. He's never gonna be the same again as far as being able to move lateral, being able to move certain ways. That was a bad break. And the thing is, it wasn't like someone hit him or anything and he broke it. It wasn't like somebody fell on it or he rolled it or anything like that.
Right.
You know what I mean? It just seemed like it just broke. And that right there, that's not good news for him. And I'm not wishing any bad luck on Dak or anything like that. But just to be honest about it, that was a serious break for a guy that plays that position. It's not going to put him high on the list of, coaches and GMs saying, hey, let's bring Dak in and sign him for a 10-year deal. It's a question mark now. I'm just being real.
Yeah.
More than anything. It's going to be hard for the brother. Hopefully he'll come through this, but those tears, man, was real. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like money. How much money I'm thinking about right? All this money I just lost. I mean, come on.
You know
just
that's what is
kidding.
going through his mind, though. I mean,
Nah,
to
that
be
wasn't
real.
what was going through his mind, man. He wasn't just
You don't think that he thought about being disappointed that his season was over and that all the money that he could potentially lose that crossed his mind as
well,
soon as he touched the gurney.
maybe just a little bit. Hey, man, hopefully the brother get back on track. Hey, we'll be back in a minute. Welcome back inside the Hall of Fame. Hey, man, like I say there again, hope that boy Dak Prescott get back on track as soon as he possibly can. It's going to be a hard road back, but if anybody can do it, he can do it. Lakers, man, the Lakers.
They did it.
What do you think about the Lakers, man? But I tell you, the Heat, they were scrappy, but I don't know. Game 6, it seemed like they were just maybe. Butler seemed like he was spent from Game 5.
Yeah.
He put in so much energy in Game 5. I mean, because honestly, Game 5, Jimmy Butler looked like a superstar,
megastar.
No,
like
I mean, let's not even. He looked like Superman.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
and all you need to do is put a cape on him, and let him play, because nobody could stop him. Nobody in Game 5. But there again, we saw at the end of Game 5 how spent Jimmy Butler was. I mean, the brother looked like he was, running on fumes.
Yeah.
And the play, pretty much every minute of the game except one. That's a task. I can't even imagine what that feels like. I don't even want to know what that feels like, towards my knees. I watch these tennis players. How long the game goes? How many hours? 3 hours? I watch these tennis players go out and play back and forth, bing, 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 5 sets, whatnot. And I go, man, I wonder what that feels like. I know you just got to want to throw up.
Yeah.
But
Easily.
But they endear it. And that's what I saw Jimmy Butler do in Game 5. It seemed like he was on literally, remote control. It was like, automatic. It's no matter what I throw up, it's going in. And I really think it took so much out of him. Game 6, I don't think he had anything left. And me personally, I can't sit back and analyze how the game is really played because I've never played it organized like that at that level. I just wonder what it feels like, because it had to affect him some way because he was not the same guy in Game 6.
Yeah, you can only have so many of those performances in a single series, and for me, Jimmy did ball out in that Game 5. But here's the thing: if you're a longtime NBA fan, when someone's down 3-1 in the finals, they're going to lose. It's only happened one time in the history of the NBA Finals that a team was down 3-1, came back and won. That was the 2016 Cleveland Cavaliers, I believe, when they beat the Warriors. So I knew that the Heat were going to lose. My original prediction was Lakers in 7. And then after I saw Jimmy Butler ball out like I did, I said, oh, it's for sure going to be the Lakers in 6 because there's no possible way that you can play that hard, 47 out of 48 minutes, be the star player of your team with Dragic still on the bench. He came in for that Game 6, but there's no way you can play that hard and then come back and be your full self. I think that that's actually a big criticism of James Harden, where he puts in a stellar performance and then he seems like he's absent the next game. I think that your endurance and your stamina to be able to perform like that is incredible. It's not possible. It would be incredible if you could do that. The only person who can do that is LeBron James. That's the guy who's incredible. LeBron can go 48 for 48 and just do it. And I saw a lot of hate for LeBron James out there today. I'm not one of those guys. I think he's probably the second greatest player of all time, right behind MJ. And he won another championship. He's won his fourth championship with his fourth team. You know, he went to the Miami for 2, went to Cleveland for 1, and now he's got 1 with LA. And he was on Cleveland before he went to Miami. So he's been with 4 different teams. He's won 4 championships. He's one of the greatest to ever do it, right, Bo?
Yeah, but the question is out there. You know what I mean? Who do you think is the greatest player of all time?
It's Michael. It's Michael because LeBron's impressive. Don't get me wrong. He's one of the most impressive people of all time. That's why I have number 2. That's not a bad spot to be on. But Mike, to go 6-0 in the finals, his individual scoring titles, to be Defensive Player of the Year, to be the MVP as many times as he has, first team All-NBA, all the All-Star appearances, to come back in his 40s and drop 40. The guy is, he's the ultimate. And to me, he would have had just as many accolades as LeBron if he didn't go to college. We forget LeBron went to the league at 18. MJ was, 21. You know what I mean? He had some years, some of his prime years were still in college. So I think that if we would have had those years, he didn't take that year and a half off for basketball, he would have been number 1 in every statistical category. So LeBron, as great as he is, he's always going to be number 2 behind MJ, in my opinion.
Yeah. It's always going to be an argument as far as who's the greatest, and what is it, boxing, baseball, football. It doesn't matter. Who's the greatest running back of all time. Yeah, it's always going to be a debate as far as who's the greatest, but. LeBron James, man, he definitely have made his mark, and
for sure.
And the thing is, unlike Tiger Woods, LeBron James, I still feel like he got a few more championships left in him. I feel like this could be the beginning of a mini dynasty with AD. So I really do, man. Because those guys went out there and played a hell of a team ball. And the thing, what I liked about everything about this series with the Heat was how the Lakers were able to go back and strategize, after a loss, and do something different both times. And that right there just let me know that, they were not there shooting the rock like the Rockets, just going out there. And I ain't trying to bring up the Rockets or hate on the Rockets. Come on, I'm not trying to hate on the Rockets or anything like that. But I'm just saying the Rockets it never seemed like the Rockets had a come on, you can be honest with me. It never seemed like they had a great game plan when they went out and played. It seemed like they went out and played the same offense, same defense every game. It may have looked, did it look any different to you?
Are you talking about in the series with the Lakers?
In the series, period, when they're playing throughout the season.
They tend to implement the same game plan as switch everything on defense, shoot a bunch of threes, and get fouled. That's their game plan.
Exactly. That's exactly what I'm talking about. This is exactly what I'm talking about. And when I watch the Lakers, how they implement, AD as far as the way he plays defense, one night, compared to the next night. The way, they bring Superman in and let him play, early, in the, the series just to, just clog up the middle or whatever. It was little details. Dwight Howard got a ring now, man. Dwight Howard.
I got shit.
And big ups to Dwight Howard. But when I watched the Lakers, it seemed like I'm watching a real coach go out there and really make certain sound decisions as far as what we need to do to stop that. We need to implement this, and we need to implement more. You know what I mean? We need to lean more to one. It's certain little things that coaches do. That's why they're coaches. They're able to sit on the outside and see what's going on when you can't. You know what I mean? So I think that's what the Lakers did better than anyone this whole season, as far as being able to just dissect the game. And they went out there. First series together, AD and LeBron James, and they win championships. Come on.
Well, yeah, normally when you have two of the top, 10 guys in the league, you're going to definitely be in contention. And you have, to me, LeBron's the most versatile superstar in basketball history. And what I mean by that is you can put him in any position. He can run any type of offense. He'll play the point. He'll play a shooting forward. He'll play the five if he has to. He's like Karl Malone in size and stature and strength, except he can shoot threes. This guy is the most versatile superstar of all time, and that's why he's always in the conversation, not just for greatest, but whenever he's on the hardwood, he's in conversation for being the champion that year. He went to 9 straight NBA Finals. Now his record, he lost more than he won of them, but he still got there. Right? He still made it to the finals. That's more than we can say here in Houston. That's more than a lot of teams can say. He made it to the finals, and he did it on Cleveland with Miami, and then now with the Lakers. He was out of the playoffs last year.
Yeah.
He didn't even make it.
Yeah.
That squad. And
Exactly.
LeBron made the GM LeBron moves and said, hey, all these rookies, let's trade them to New Orleans. send them down south to Louisiana. Bring AD over this way. All right? Let's make this trade happen. Lonzo Ball, don't need him. Brandon Ingram, send them off. Josh Hart, don't even remember his name anymore. Get him out of here. Let me get AD. And they put together a championship roster. And you know what? Like I said, shout out to my guy, Dwight Howard. I'm happy that he has a ring. I think he played probably 46 seconds in the finals, but you know what?
No, man, no. Dwight Howard put some good time in, man. He put some good time. He came in and was scrappy. You know what? Dwight Howard. Dwight Howard
in the series.
Yeah, in the series.
Oh, okay.
Dwight Howard almost got into a fight. Did you see that?
I saw him doing this a lot. I don't know what all that was about.
Dwight Howard almost got into a
What fight?
It was one of the brothers. I mean, he grabbed him. I mean, Dwight Howard, back up off of me. And I was like, whoa, I almost lost it because it's something that I've been asking for a long time. I've been begging Dwight Howard, man, when you going to fight, man, when you going to get into a fight with and Dwight Howard literally almost got into a fight and almost broke out. I was like, man, I was so proud of him. I was proud of my dog. I was like, that's the Dwight Howard I want to see.
We need to get him back on the show to talk to NBA champion Dwight Howard.
Get him on. Let me reach out to the brother. Hey guys, stick around. We got a whole lot more for you. Back in a minute. Welcome back inside the Hall of Fame. Fight night, man. Fight night went down this week. You know what? It was all right card. It was all right show. A lot of guys I didn't know on the fight night card, but it was some great knockouts, some great action, stuff that you normally not going to see when the main event guys are in there fighting. That's one thing about these guys that's hungry and they just want to go out there and fight. Hey, man, I think that's what the UFC survives off more than anything. It's young guys being able to go out there and just scrap. Number one, number two, you guys go out and scrap. And my thing was, the main event, Mariah Sandhagen, man, that was the one fight as far as the card goes to where I can go, man, we got something here,
Sandhagen looked like the real boy.
Let me tell you something, dog. Sandhagen looked like the real boy, no doubt. And I was very, very impressed with Corey Sandhagen because I've watched him fight, but I just didn't know I didn't know how good he was until you never know how good a
Right.
guy is until you put him in there with a guy like a Marias who you know the pedigree of, you know exactly, what he's been through, the fights he's lost, the positions that he's been in. And Marias, in anybody's eyes, top guy. But I tell you,
Headshots at the title.
exactly my point. But Sandhagen went out and handled Marias from the outset of that fight. Now, don't get me wrong, Marias, he wasn't no chump or anything like that. It didn't look like he was afraid to step into the fire or anything like that. He actually looked like he thought in his mind he could find a way to win that fight, until it happened. It's one of those type of deals. But Sandhagen, I must say, the brother looked like a rock from the outset, of round one all the way to the finish. He looked like a rock. And there again, Sandhagen, he could be the guy in the division that could literally just take it over. We know Peter Yan right now is, he should be looking for someone to fight. Right. And if we're talking about anyone between number 1 and number 4, he'll be number 1, 2, and 3. If any of those guys, is as tough as Sandhagen, I want to know it. I want to see him. You know what I mean? Because the brother, he looked spectacular in that fight against Marlon Marias. Marias just dropped to the bottom of the heap division, and that right there, it has to be one to the ego, but that's the fight game. That's what the UFC is really all about. That's what it was pretty much founded and what it was made on. Is there again, guys going out and fighting each other. What do you think's next for Sandhagen?
Sandhagen, definitely in line for a title shot, especially after a performance such as that and in a main event spot on Fight Island. I think Marlon, as you said, I hate to say it, but back of the line, kid. I don't see him getting another title shot anytime soon, if ever. I mean, he's had his opportunities. He's played around in that main event scene, and he hasn't ever cashed in and got the job done. And I think that he's a talented guy. I think he's a very talented fighter. But for some reason, he just can't seal the deal and close it for himself. And Corey Sandhagen, man, I mean, like you said, real boy, that knockout was beautiful. And it was on a night of incredible knockouts, and it still stuck out, right? I mean, to be able to be talked about after that Joaquin knockout, the spinning back heel kick right to the chin, to be still in conversation for a great knockout after something like that, that you went out there and you did your job right. And it seems, though, social media was happy with Corey Sandhagen's performance. I see him being touted on all the blogs, on the websites, and other shows. So normally when you start hearing all of that press, all those clippings start coming out, title shots in line.
You know what? I think he deserves a title. Aljamain Sterling is in between him and Peter Yan. All right. And you asked me, do I think Aljamain Sterling is a better fighter than Sandhagen? It's possible. It's possible. I can't take anything away from Aljamain Sterling because he's worked his way up to that position to be the guy, to be number 2. Aljamain Sterling, he's worked his behind off to get to that point. A lot of guys in that same position that chomping at the bit, trying to move up the ladder in that division. And just to name a few, Frankie Edgar, Pedro Munoz, Cody Garbrandt, Dominic Cruz, Jimmy Rivera, Uriah Faber. It's a lot of guys in that division. That Sean O'Malley, who's down right now. I think injury also. It's a lot of guys in that division for Aljamain Sterling to be number 2. Okay, that right there tells you how hard the brother has worked. Because I really didn't think Aljamain Sterling was going to find success inside the octagon just from his early outings. But there again, Aljamain Sterling is one of those guys who started like a Sage Northcutt really, really young in
Right.
the UFC, very, very talented in the UFC, but overmatched by so many, more talented guys, guys that were veterans to the sport, putting him in there with certain guys like that. I don't think I don't think it hurt him as much as it could have, because he's number 2 right now in the division. I don't know. Should number 3 and number 2 go at it before Peter, or if the money is right for me, just let one of those guys go ahead and go after Peter, and then the next guy go after Peter, because why kill both guys' careers and knock them off the pedestal to get in the title shot when they're number 2 and number 3? I don't see any money in that, me personally, but I don't see the UFC being I wouldn't say smart enough to not do something like that, but I can't. I don't know what's the reasons why they rush to, do matches like that.
I mean, they got their ways, right?
Yeah,
their ways have worked for them thus far.
What would you rather see?
I would. Well, I'll tell you what. If I'm Peter Yan, I'm gonna say, yeah, let me fight that guy, and then let me fight that guy. That sounds like 2 paydays and not 1 to me. You know what I mean? Like you said, if they fight one another, I can only get the winner. But if I fight both of them individually, okay, I get 2 fights under my paycheck, under my belt, and that's double the pay, right? So that's what I would think to see. But like I said, the UFC, they never seem to really do it that way. And whatever way they do it, it seems to have worked out for them, or at least in their best interest. It might not be in the fighter's career's best interest, but it's in their best interest. I liked it. What did you think of that spectacular highlight knockout we saw on Saturday night?
When I saw it, what was his name again?
It's Joaquin, I believe is his name.
Yeah. I tell you, when I saw it, it reminded me of, immediately when I saw it, totally different, but you're a young Uriah Faber. Uriah Faber, when he was a young kid, California kid, it seemed like he could do some spectacular stuff. And I remember a guy holding one of his legs, and he jumped up with the other leg and boom, gave him a big knee. And it was like one of the first times someone had ever seen anything like that. And so that's what it reminded me of. Totally different, but same sequence to where he's being held, and he used that against the fighter that he was fighting. And it was beautiful. And I was like, wow, nothing better than seeing a highlight reel knockout that, perhaps you may never see again. So there again, I loved it. Yeah.
Now, people are calling it the greatest knockout of all time. Now, I know that's what people do. They go straight to it has to be the greatest. But, I mean, it's in consideration of one of the better knockouts I've ever seen as far as skill goes. Some people I saw ranking Jorge Masvidal's knee to Ben Askren's face as the #1 knockout of all time. I don't know. Does a certain knockout come to mind for you when you think of the UFC, and is it either one of those two as the top?
The one shot that was just the most beautiful shot that I've ever seen was, Showtime Pettis on Ben Henderson, off the cage. That was like the most beautiful knockout. I think they stopped the fight right there at the end, right there. I think that was the end of it. But it was the most beautiful display of artistry, of martial arts inside the octagon, I think, that I've ever seen, because of the way Showtime Pettis landed, because he landed perfectly, like, in a karate movie, and, Ben Henderson goes out like, wow, in a karate movie. It was beautiful. It was poetry in motion. And there again, the first time we had ever, got a chance to witness something like that before, so it's got a lot of competition. It's got because Jose Aldo, spin kick knockout, is very, very high ranked as far as being the most beautiful, head kick knockout. Because the guy he went dead. He was dead as soon as he got hit.
John Jones, DC.
Yeah, exactly.
That second one.
Exactly. So it's a lot of competition out there, guys. You weigh in, man. Weigh in on the conversation. Who's the best for you guys? Stick around. We'll be back in a minute. Welcome back inside the Hall of Fame, guys. Hey, man. UFC 254, Gagey, Khabib. We definitely. I'm looking forward to that. It's going to be a good fight.
Yeah.
Who do you think is going to win it?
I don't know, man. And I hate to even bring this up as a factor, but I just don't know if Khabib's loss of his father gives him extra motivation, or does it take away from his normal ability, because his father was instrumental in all of his training camps, and he was an instrumental inspiration for Khabib to go out there and do what he does better than almost anybody in the history of the game. So I don't know what that loss is going to do, how it's going to affect them. We've seen athletes before when they lose someone close. I go back to MJ on Father's Day. He goes and he does what he does in that game. It inspired him to go out there and do that. And I'm sure it's had the opposite effect. I remember Isaiah Thomas, the younger Isaiah Thomas, when he lost his sister, going out there and just trying, but you could tell that he wasn't there. You know, he was doing his damnedest, though. So I don't know how that affects Khabib Nurmagomedov, and I think it's a big factor that people should talk about. I really don't know if it's a positive or negative, but I just want to go Justin Gaethje. I do, because I think the man is so dynamic. He's so athletic, and we think of him just as this guy who's going to go out there and scrap in the middle of the ring, but I think he is versatile when he's in the octagon. And I always root for the guy who's the betting underdog for the most part, unless we're talking about boxing. Then I always go for the favorite. But in UFC, yeah, I like to see the upset. I like to see the upset. So I think I'm going to go with Justin Gaethje, but I'm not sure.
You know what? I'm pulling for Gaethje just because, man, he's homegrown. I mean, I love Khabib. Skills, tenacity, the way he fight, just straight dog, going out and trying to take his opponent.
Okay. I have a slight delay there for Booker. I think he'll rejoin here in a second. There he is. Book, you're back with us.
You got me? Yeah. Got me? All right. I was just talking about as far as his, tenacity, his, dog in him, as far as going out and trying to finish his opponent. That part I love about Khabib, and I'm sure everyone in the fight, world who watches this thing loves that about Khabib Nurmagomedov. He's a different type of animal than we've seen. He's truly and a martial artist who can fight in every realm of the game. His stand-up is not the best, but it's not the worst. His wrestling, oh man, is second to none. His grappling, he can fight his jiu-jitsu, his sambo, everything is intact when it comes his stamina. I don't think we have to worry about his gas tank or anything like that. So when I think about Justin Gaethje's, ways to victory, I think and I question myself, where are they? You know what I mean? Where does he beat Nurmagomedov in the stand-up? Perhaps. Will Nurmagomedov stand up to the point to where he's going to end up losing the fight in that fashion? I don't think so. I think he'll rather take more chances as far as trying to change the game if he's losing in one department, to try to go to another department, There again, Justin Gaethje, I could take nothing away from him in either the department as well. I even give him, points in the stand-up perspective, over Khabib Nurmagomedov. But it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be a hard road to victory over Nurmagomedov, but I'm pulling for Justin Gaethje.
Yeah, I think you make great points. We haven't seen anybody beat Khabib, and that's the reason it's so hard to bet against him, and why it's hard to figure out what Justin Gaethje's in is. When someone's lost before, you can see the holes in their game and the flaws that they have, and then be able to capitalize on them. For Justin Gaethje, he's going to have to invent the flaws in Khabib Nurmagomedov's game and find the end, find that just little bit of ray of sunshine to get in there and get his victory off. Now, I didn't think that he'd beat Tony Ferguson. I know that you picked him over Tony. I didn't think that he'd beat Tony. I always thought Tony was the guy who had the skill, that innate ability to go one-on-one with Khabib, but it seems as though that fight is destined to never happen. And I think that Khabib and Justin, this is going to give Khabib a really different challenge. I think that the best well, at least one of the best strikers he's been in there with is Conor McGregor. And we saw that he wasn't really afraid of Conor McGregor's left hand. He walked into it. He took the striking to Conor. I don't suggest that same strategy with Justin. Go with the tried and true, get him down to the ground, wrestle him like you wrestle oh so many bear back wherever you're from. Do it that way, and I think that you can secure a victory. If you try to stand up with Justin Gaethje, he is going to touch you up, and he's going to touch you up real good to where you're going to have cuts coming out of places you didn't even know you had. And I think that that would be Justin's key to victory. But like again, it's anyone's game, and I'm just interested to see the dynamics at play. Also, Khabib hasn't competed in this arena with no people, and I just wonder if that's going to have an effect on him at all. Because the last time he competed, it was in Dubai to tens and tens of thousands of people. And now here he is in this new environment where it's really quiet. It's not what he's used to, and you have Justin Gaethje, who just won a championship in the same environment. I think that there are a lot of dynamics at play at this fight that people aren't talking about, which makes it so compelling to me.
You know, I'm very, very interested as far as, you know, what's going to happen when it finally does go to the ground. It's going to go to the ground. And I'm just wondering what's going to happen when it finally goes to the ground. And there again, you know, we've never seen Khabib Nurmagomedov in a position to where things could get a little bit touch and go on the ground. This is a guy in Justin Gaethje who may be able to exploit, you know, that side of, you know, Khabib's game if it happens to go there, because no doubt in my mind do I think that Justin Gaethje is preparing for a ground war. There's no doubt in my mind that he's not preparing for the takedown. You know, how am I going to defend it? How am I going to make sure that I don't find myself in that position? And then if I do find myself in that position, what do I do to defend? That right there is going to be the question, because I think it's not a matter of, you know, if, it's going to be a matter of when he finds himself on his back. But if he can survive it, normally it's a 5-round fight. If he can survive it round 1 and 2 from a takedown perspective, it could get very, very interesting as far as Khabib, you know, fight game and fight plan after that doesn't work, because we haven't seen that not work for Khabib.
Let me ask you this real quick before we have to go to break, and there's a couple wrestling stories breaking now that we'll get to, but another fight was somewhat announced over the weekend, and that's Conor McGregor versus Dustin Poirier. Conor and Dustin were going back and forth discussing a potential charity match in Ireland, and now it looks like Conor has changed his tune, and he said that he accepted the UFC's offer to fight Dustin. And they're looking like they're going to do it in November, December, potentially, of 2020. Are you excited for this matchup? We've seen these two guys go at it before. Conor McGregor was the victor. Different circumstances now. Conor's kind of been chilling for the most part for the last several years. He's had a couple of fights, one that went his way in Cowboy Cerrone that lasted less than a minute. You wonder how in tune with his skill that he is. And then you have a guy like Dustin Poirier, who every time he goes out there has a complete war. So what's left in his tank? How do you see this fight happening, and are you excited for it?
Yeah, I'm definitely excited for it. I mean, Conor McGregor making his return back to the octagon. I mean, who wouldn't be excited about it? Conor McGregor coming back, but you know, he's fighting a totally different Dustin Poirier now. He's fighting a real grown man as far as Dustin Poirier goes this time around. I think it's going to be a totally different fight. Fighting Dustin Poirier this time. I think the last fight, it was very, very controversial, because I think Conor McGregor hit him behind the head or something like that, and the referee, I think Herb Dean, didn't say anything about it and stopped the fight. And it was definitely just cause for Dustin Poirier back then. So I think Dustin Poirier, you know, it's kind of like one of those little cowboy movies, man. He's got a score to settle. You know what I mean? And to actually be able to go out and beat Conor McGregor right now, I don't think it's far past anyone's imagination. Dustin Poirier being able to go out there and do that
for sure
right now. Conor McGregor is 32 years old. He's been getting in all kind of trouble. You know, out of sight, out of mind. Time off is your worst enemy. The last person he beat was Don Cerrone, which wasn't a fight at all. That should have been, you know, like I say, Don Cerrone's purse should have been held up that night. He shouldn't have got paid at all.
Yeah.
That's just the way I feel about that fight. So he really haven't had a fight in quite some time when you really look at it. So I see Dustin Poirier being able to go out there and get a victory over Conor McGregor. And the thing is, if Dustin Poirier beats Conor McGregor, that will be the last time we ever see Conor McGregor
in an octagon.
Inside the octagon, yes.
For sure. I think so. Because at that point, there'd be nothing left for him to do or prove, and he's not getting a title shot if you lose to Dustin Poirier. I think that it'd be a good battle. Dustin's tough, man. That's a tough dude. The last fight he had was a
boy, man.
war.
Boy, man.
War.
Yeah.
War. So if we see it, I would much rather see this fight than to see Conor and Manny Pacquiao. I'd much rather see this fight.
I think you like to see that, but I'm sure Conor wouldn't.
No, Conor said, Manny.
Conor said, all that paper, baby.
All that pop.
It's gold, man. Hey, guys, stick around. We're going to talk some wrestling as soon as we get back. We'll be back in a minute. Welcome back inside the Hall of Fame. You talking about some breaking news? You were talking about.
Well, yeah. So earlier today, maybe I don't know, 30 minutes before we started the show today, there was reports going out by Sean Ross Sapp and a few other wrestling reporters that Eva Marie, the former WWE diva back then, Eva Marie was going to make her return back to wrestling. Now, she hadn't been in the WWE since 2017. And really, at the time that she got her release, she actually started to kind of make the ascent up the card and work on her skills. Well, they're saying that she's back. So you know how all that goes. I don't really read too much into it.
Somebody else was supposed to be coming back. Also, Melina. We haven't seen her either.
We haven't seen Melina, but I normally don't read into the tea leaves too much when I hear these reporters talk about they're coming back. However, just a half hour before the broadcast of Monday Night Raw tonight, I did see this on Twitter, and I don't know if she's just playing into the rumors or not, but she says, this is from Eva Marie, looking forward to Raw tonight.
Trying to get a job.
Say what?
Trying to get a job.
Well, but the rumor is she's coming back, and that's my question to you was what was your analysis or your thinking of Eva Marie back when she came out? Obviously, she's a beautiful woman, also very athletic, very in shape. If you see her on Instagram with her husband, they're always working out in the gym, doing something, sweating, in great physical shape. I think that the wrestling fans revolted against her a little bit in her initial run. They thought that she was kind of the old variety of the diva that just looked good but couldn't work good, if you know what I'm saying. Yeah. And she really tried to improve and make leaps and bounds in that toward the latter part of her career. But I'm just kind of asking, would you be excited for Eva Marie return? Do you think she has a spot in the company? What do you think?
Well, there again, like you just said, I don't know what she's coming back for. She's coming back to, manage somebody. She's coming back to, have one of these talk shows, you know what I mean? Eva was, kitchen, I don't know anything. It could be.
What about Deliver Us from Eva?
That's good too. It's good too. But I like Eva's kitchen. You know what I mean?
Why would she be in the kitchen?
I'm going to be cooking and it's going to be hot. You know what I mean? That just, it sounds good. You know what I mean? But there again, I don't know why. Sounds good, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's not
It's
bad.
catching.
It makes me laugh. So I
Yeah,
guess that's
exactly.
something.
It's catching it. It's catchy, isn't it? You know what I mean? Yeah, but nah, um, I don't know why she's coming back. And she's coming back, to wrestle. Um, I don't know because, of course, like you just said, Marie, beautiful girl. I remember Jodi Arias said, she had a term, hottie biscotti. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what that means, but it sounds good.
Sounds about right.
But I don't remember any Eva Marie matches or anything like that. I don't remember any great matches or anything like that. Eva's, I know women don't like to tell her age these days, but this is the social media world. I think she's 36 now. And
Is
if
she really?
yeah, she is planning to come back and get in the ring with these girls today. She better be ready. She better be full geared and ready to go because it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy. It may look easy, and it may sound cool, but a year on the road right now in this climate that we're working in right now, Eva Marie, she's perfect. She's perfect for this, COVID climate. Guys working once a week. You know what I'm saying? But she have to come on the road and start bumping on a weekly basis. How long has she been away from the game?
About 3 years.
Maybe a little longer.
I think it's about 3. I think she left in about 17. Yeah, 17. February 17. So okay, almost 4 years, I guess.
Almost 4 years she's been away from the game. And what do we say, man? What do we say?
Time off is your worst enemy.
Time off is your worst enemy. I mean, we look at Edge. Edge come back. First big match. Boom. He blows out something. You know what I mean? So time off is your worst enemy. You may think you can actually do it. I mean, trust me, you tried and something just pop. You know what I mean? And I say that because I'm no different than anybody else. My kids were demonstrating last week the crane kick. And I'm like, man, y'all don't know about the Karate Kid, Daniel LaRusso. I mean, I know all about the crane kick, I used to do it all the time. So well, show me, Dad. I'm like, all right, I'll show you. Man, my hip still hurt. From trying to show them the crane kick. I was like, ow. I'm like, what the heck is going on? So just being away from the game, man. I love to see Eva Marie come back and make a huge splash. I thought Eva Marie was, man, she had a look that was untouchable.
Yeah.
And I almost kind of like Mandy Rose right now, somewhat. But Mandy can go. Mandy can get in the ring, and you can tell she's earning her stripes. She's getting her bumps and bruises. She's learning actually what it takes to actually get in the ring and work with the ladies at a certain level. And I must say, big props to Mandy. She's coming up. She's learning. If she needs some tips, hit me in the DMs. But and that's on a serious note. Seriously, because she's learning certain things about what it takes to be a really good female wrestler and and I'm gonna tell you right now, and I separate the women from the females. All right, I do separate the women from the females, and then somebody might say, "Oh man, you being one-sided." No, I'm not. When women perform, it's a certain thing that makes you watch them in a small, they're very, very small things. They're intangibles. And I'm not going to go into detail with you on that. But if you want to join one of my classes on Thursday night, I could definitely school you at Booker T's Wrestling 101. But she's definitely learning all of the tricks of the trade. And there again, that's the stuff that someone like Eva Marie, 3 years away from the game, she got to come back and start all over from the bottom if she's planning on being in the ring wrestling with the Oscars of the world.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And we'll see. Raw's going on as we speak, so we'll see if Eva Marie makes her debut or re-debut in WWE. But a couple picks from the draft, and then for the next segment, I think we got to talk about something that happened on Friday Night SmackDown. I really want to get your reaction to it. A couple things from the draft, though. The Street Profits have officially been drafted to SmackDown. The Raw Tag Team Champions are now on SmackDown. And the other big draft for Monday Night Raw is The Fiend, Bray Wyatt, is now on Monday Night Raw officially. What do you think about Street Profits going over to the SmackDown brand? Because I feel like they carved a niche out for them in Raw, on Raw. But the thing with WWE right now is the tag teams. It's like once you wrestle the two other tag teams that are on the show with you, you've wrestled them all. You know what I mean? I really wish they combine these rosters. That's what I want so bad. Combine the tag team divisions so that we can have more parity in those divisions, because that's why they got to trade shows, is because they've worked everybody.
Yeah, man. It's kind of hard, the draft to me, it just working for, another show. It wasn't about, the hype, the hype was for the fans and whatnot. And the thing is, I must honestly say, man, I'm not trying to rag on these guys or anything these days, but man, the draft back in the day, man, it was actually, it was a reason why we had to have, a draft and a SmackDown and a Raw.
What do you mean?
We had so much talent on the roster. We had so many guys, man, that were, mainstream superstars that could go out and carry the show. We really did. And not that, we don't have a whole lot of workers these days, but the abundance of talent that flooded into WWE, WWF back then, as far as, the big sweep from the WCW guys, making the switch and going over to the talent roster that they already had. We had literally the best wrestling roster in the world at that time. So many guys of all time, yeah. I think, in that. But then again, I wouldn't say of all time, because
it was of all time.
I don't know, man. A lot of guys in the 80s, man, they were really good wrestlers, man, and
they were. But there was no roster. There was no roster like what y'all had from.
I don't know, man, but I don't think it would have been a roster like ours if it wasn't for those guys, the Jake the Snakes of the world, the guys who actually, put it down and paved the way from a perspective toward this is the way it's supposed to look. We had a lot of great talent, but I think
an abundance.
But honestly, I think we had an abundance of talent in WCW back then too. So that roster we had, from a wrestling perspective, at one point, it was a monster. You know what I mean? So it's hard to say of all times, but we had a great abundance of talent that could fuel two shows back then. Come on, The Rock alone could fuel one show.
It was called SmackDown.
I'm serious, you know what I mean? So it was totally different as far as the way I looked at the draft back then, the way I look at it now. And me personally, I think I got traded to SmackDown or something like that. I don't even think I got drafted, and that's why I had.
You were originally drafted to Raw.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly. Then I got traded to SmackDown, but I said, that's just, I could see my wealth. I can see my wealth in SmackDown wanting me. That's the way I had to look at it anyway, but I knew what was going on. Hey guys, stick around. You're in the Hall of Fame. We'll be back in a minute. Welcome back inside the Hall of Fame, guys. Just sitting here going through the cycle. It's our last segment, isn't it?
It is our last segment. That's why I feel like we need to talk about this now, because I think that, it was a pretty significant moment that happened last Friday on SmackDown. I'm talking about the draft, the WWE draft, which is ongoing right now on Monday Night Raw. The top champions stayed where they were, but we were talking about how the Street Profits moved brands. Another team moved brands. The guy that you said was done. He's finished. Get him out of here. Xavier Woods made his return to WWE after over a year off with that. It was an Achilles injury that he had, right?
Yeah.
Same as Ember Moon. They came back around the same time too. That's odd. But he made his return back. He and Kofi teamed back. Kofi's been out of action since July. They teamed up together. They won the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. And then Kofi and Xavier alone were drafted by Monday Night Raw, leaving Big E by himself on SmackDown, effectively breaking up the New Day as we know it. They're going to have their farewell match on Friday, but they're done now. How do we feel about the New Day being finished, and is this the best move for Kofi and Xavier and for Big E?
Well, I'm glad. Okay, me personally.
Why did I think you'd say that?
No, I'm glad. I mean, this is the only way Big E can really run on his own, man. It's the only way he could really, put himself out there without having that umbrella, of the New Day. He's got to let it go, you know what I mean? And go out there and be Big E, create his own brand in order to be able to, fuel, what he's trying to, do right now. And that is take it to the next level. And I ain't going to say he need to change anything. All right, because I know everybody on the internet will be, calling him. Hey, Booker T said this. What do you think? You know what I mean? Booker T, I don't need anybody calling Big E.
We don't need all the internet snitches out there. That's what y'all are.
Snitches get stitches.
And thrown in the ditches. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. So, but Big E is going to have to create his own brand. And if that's being happy-go-lucky Big E, that's fine with me. But he's going to have to, do his own thing now, especially since the New Day is, greener pastures, elsewhere, future endeavored, over to the other brand. No, I'm serious, so
right.
Hopefully Big E will step up and, take that. Man, I wish I could, work with Big E for a minute. Again, man, he's another guy. I wish I could just, man, get him in and just let him sit on the learning tree for a minute, kind of like I did with Bobby Lashley back in the day. And, man, this is what we need to, that Big E is a guy that I feel like I could coach. You know what I mean? If I was going to manage someone, it would be a guy like Big E, because I really feel like Big E could run through the whole territory. If the stars were aligned right for him. You know what I mean? Not saying that I want to be a manager or anything like that, but if anyone that I feel like I can manage and get some real feelings out of the fans watching this is a guy like Big E. Big E could really, be the guy, if he had the right expert tutelage.
Oh yeah. I like that. Yeah, I think that it was the right call for New Day to be done. I think that they've had a run for several years now. They've been they're 9-time tag team champions at this point.
Yeah.
I think that Kofi and Xavier together is interesting to leave them alone, leave them as a team. But I think that Big E, look, Kofi had his run as the WWE champion. He was the single star who then joined the group and then became a bigger star within the group and had his singles run. Xavier does his thing with up, down, down. He's got his own personality outside of WWE that he is way over with the fans on. And then there's Big E. Big E, when he came into the main roster, don't forget, he was brought in as a heavy for Dolph Ziggler. He was with Dolph and AJ Lee for a minute. They were like this weird trio. And then when he broke off, he didn't do a whole lot until the New Day stuff. He was kind of just another guy on the roster. I think he had a brief run with the IC title, but never really found his footing as a singles. What the New Day has given him that ability to do is find his voice as a personality on the show, find his voice as a character, and then work under two guys who are well-seasoned, well-trained veterans in Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods, and have them give him the game of what to do inside the squared circle. And he's become very good. He had a match with Sheamus a couple weeks ago on TV that was phenomenal. He had a really great Falls Count Anywhere match with Sheamus. I think he's coming into his own. But as you said, I think maybe several weeks ago, we don't need the crutch of having his boys with him anymore.
Yeah.
It's ready. It's time to take the training wheels off, get on that bike, and see if you can rock that two-wheeler by yourself. And I think that he can. I have no doubt, as you said, that Big E can go out there and do it. I'll be interested to see if he gets the full makeover. Normally when someone breaks into singles, they get their own music and whatnot. It'll be interesting to see if he does that, or if they keep the New Day as a collective and not so much a group anymore, but a collective where they all kind of like, NWO, where they come out to everyone comes out to the same music anyway. It'll be interesting to see what they do in the future, but I think that this is a good thing for Big E, and I just want to see him, and I'm sure he will embrace the role.
Yeah, I think he will. I mean, I got nothing but praise for the New Day. Let's just get that out there. Those guys, they did it, and not let me just lay it out for you. Looking at Kofi Kingston. Kofi Kingston is a veteran to the sport. He's a guy that's been around, and you might say, man, I mean, he's paid his dues. He should have been had it. I mean, he's a warrior. He's a soldier. He knows exactly what it takes to last in this game and weather the storm. I give Kofi big props. Big E and Xavier, adding those two to the mix, it definitely gave Kofi longevity. At the same time, Big E coming in as a powerhouse. Anyone look at Big E in that box, they say, man, this guy could be world champion. This guy could be a single superstar, and that he can. Then you look at a guy like X, Xavier. I mean, come on, let's be real. This is a guy that came from TNA, Confidence Creed. And a guy, how many guys came over from TNA and other companies that haven't ascended to the point of a Xavier Woods in the WWE? I mean, he figured it out. That's the thing. That's the thing that I'm always talking about as far as being able to figure it out. Because you may not be the guy that they're thinking about as far as being on the radar, as far as being the guy. But you got to figure out how to get your little piece of the pie. And Xavier Woods, formerly known as Confidence Creed, a guy that I was beating up in the ring and doing a promo at the same time. Look at him now. Look at him now. He's made it all the way to the top, man. Big ups to those guys. And they all did it in their way. So there again, I've taken away nothing from the New Day, man. Those guys, like I say, gets nothing but praise from Booker T on a real note. But then again, on the other note, can't believe Xavier Woods back.
Woods is back, baby.
Yeah.
He's back.
Yeah.
If you go back and you watch some of his matches from TNA, that guy was an athlete. When he was was it Confidence's Creed or Consequences Creed?
Consequence Creed.
Consequence Creed.
That's what I think. That's the Confidence Creed.
Yeah, it's something like that.
Yeah.
But I watched some match that he had when he was in the X division, and I think that it might surprise some of the Xavier Woods fans today of how awesome he was in the ring from a technical acrobatic standpoint.
He wasn't as good as Elix Skipper. You know what I mean?
No. The Skipper of Elix?
That's what I would have called. And the thing is, you guys, y'all can agree with me or not. If Elix Skipper would have called himself the Skipper of Elix, he would have had more success in WWE than perhaps anyone. They would have took that thing, man. He would have been like the captain, you know what I mean? He'd have been like, I'm serious. He'd been like going on a fantastic voyage, you know what I mean? The Elix of Skipper, you know what I mean? He'd have been like Lakeside back in the day, man. I'm serious, man. I mean, that's how big the Skipper of Elix. And I know the people out there agree with me. The Skipper of Elix, that's Elix Skipper.
I think this says it all.
Skipper.
Hell no, Book.
See, that's a person with no vision. That's a person with no real vision right there, man. Come on. Come on. You gotta.
Hell no.
I'm saying that.
Hey,
I like to skip.
I know you do, and I want to give a plug for you real quick. Is this Friday? You and Renee are back together, right? For
Yeah,
SmackDown,
yeah.
for a
Kickoff.
SmackDown special,
Yeah,
SmackDown kickoff.
kickoff. Yeah, SmackDown kickoff show. I'm going to have a bunch of guests that's going to be coming in. We're going to be, you know, all two-time Hall of Famer. I'm gonna be giving a lot of guys the rub on SmackDown on Friday. So guys, tune in with me and my girl Renee Young, and I'm so glad to be back hanging out with my girl just for a minute now. But you know, she got to upgrade. You know, she's a Fox analyst now.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
are
So she making that
special.
long green ducats. You know what I mean? So she getting the jack, man. So big ups to Renee. But looking forward to Friday night, man. Guys, tune in. Tune in. It's gonna be a great night for us. And hey man, that's about it. We gotta wrap up. We gotta get out of here. All the listeners, all the comments, we appreciate you guys stepping inside the Hall of Fame. Bradley, again, man, we gotta get together again in a couple of days, get this done all over again. I'll see you on Wednesday. But all you guys, again, we appreciate you. We love you, and thank you for stepping inside the Hall of Fame. Right now, we up out this mug.